Hi, this is David Willis, and today I want to talk with you about the concept of oxidation number or charge number and how atoms get the charge that they have when they turn into ions. All right, let's take a look at our periodic table. Um, so as we look here, we see the periodic table of elements, and we know that neutral atoms actually have the same number of protons and electrons, and so they have no charge. They have a charge of 0. However, in order for elements to bond to each other, they need to either share or exchange electrons, and their charge number helps us to know how many of those they will share or exchange. Let's just look at, and the reason they do that, of course, is because they're either trying to get to 8 electrons in their outer shell or valence shell, or they're trying to get to 0 electrons in their outer shell or valence shell, at which point the next shell down would become the valence shell and it would already be full. So basically, atoms are trying to either completely fill or completely empty their outermost valence shell, which means they are trying to get it to 8 or to 0. So let's look at the first column here, hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium. All right, and that is the group 1A. All right, and group 1A all has 1 electron in its valence shell. All right, now, do you think that that would be easier for it to gain 7 or to lose 1? You have guessed correctly. It is much easier to lose 1 than to gain 7. When it loses an electron, it loses a negative charge. And so it will actually develop a positive charge, and since it is going to lose 1 electron, it will have a charge of plus 1. So that 1A column will develop a plus 1 charge when it becomes an ion or when it bonds with something else. So let's look at the 2A column. The 2A column, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, etc., they have 2 valence electrons. And so, sure enough, once again, easier to gain 6 or easier to lose 2? You're right, it's easier to lose 2. Now, losing 2 negative charges will leave you with an overall positive 2 charge. So again, the group 2A will actually be losing 2 electrons and will develop a plus 2 charge. Let's fast forward all the way across these transition elements. They don't play by quite the same rules, so we're going to skip them for now. And we're going to look at this column, 3A, the one with boron, aluminum, etc. In this case, it has 3A, 3 valence electrons, and so it will be trying to lose those 3 rather than trying to gain 5. Again, 3 is still closer to 0 than 8, and so it will lose 3 negative charges, which means it will have a plus 3 charge when that happens. All right, I think you're sensing the pattern there. Let's go to the other side. Now, this group 8A actually already has 8 valence electrons. So it is its outermost valence shell is full and happy, and so it will not be losing or gaining electrons and is almost completely non-reactive. They are called inert. But if we go just one column to the left, we see column 7A. That has 7 valence electrons. Closer to 8, closer to 0. Sure enough, closer to 8. And so it will try desperately to gain 1 more electron. All right? When it does, it's going to gain an electron, which has a negative charge, and so it will have a negative 1 charge since it has 1 extra electron as it gets from 7 to 8 in its outermost shell. Again, the pattern continues. 6A has 6 valence electrons, and so oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, they will all be gaining 2 electrons, which means they will have a negative 2 charge. Nitrogen, phosphorus, all of our 5A friends have 5 valence electrons. They will be trying to get to 8. They will try to gain 3. All right? And so all that one really has to do to determine what the charge number or oxidation number will be is look at what column the element is in, look at the top number and know that that is the valence number, and then say, is that closer to 8 or closer to 0? If it's closer to 8, it will be trying to gain enough electrons and thus have a negative charge to get to 8. Or if it's closer to 0, it will be trying to lose electrons in order to get to 0, and losing electrons will develop a positive charge because you're losing negativity. All right, I hope that that was helpful. Thanks so much, and take a look at the practice exercises.